Hey, Connecticut. It's 9:14, and I just want to do a follow-up about the FBI post that I did on YouTube because I got some interesting calls and people are confused. So I want to play a second FBI tape and explain why I'm saying the Connecticut Cabal is pretty much the worst. Let's describe, you want to hear the tape first, or let's describe what the Cabal is, then we'll play the tape, okay? What I'm saying is, Connecticut was using confidential informants without registering them with the FBI, which is approving a crime and approving a victim of a crime. Now, when the victim goes to the police, after the police created the victim by approving a crime, for example, there's a gentleman who died recently 6 days after his COVID shot. His name is Priest. In Norwalk, 2 informants were used to plant drugs in his apartment, Ron and Nicole. They planted drugs at 11:45. At 12 o'clock, 6 cops broke the door down, ran to the drugs because they knew where they were, and arrested him. Why? Because the Housing Authority of Norwalk wanted him evicted. Why? He was falsely accused of being a drug dealer. Now there's drugs rampant at Cedar Court. And when you look at the facts, okay, a disabled, mute veteran knock on the door, Ron and Nicole come rushing in, run to the back, plant the drugs. As they're leaving, this guy Escher, who's now dead, is wondering, talking to his girlfriend, wondering, what's going on. Next thing you know, knock, 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 knocked the door down, destroyed all his furniture, worked him over, arrested him as a drug dealer. I have his arrest report. I have a lot of the stuff. But we confronted those policemen, and they released Priest. Then they arrested Ron and Nicole for talking. Now, if you look at the evidence, it's obviously falsified. And it's okay. I understand they want to stop drug dealers. But let me say something. A 20-year vendetta is not probable cause. Okay? Do you understand? A 20-year vendetta is not a probable cause. So what I'm saying is, weaponizing the police to victimize the citizens is not what confidential informants is about. Okay? So what I'm saying, and that's not the big problem in Connecticut. You ready? The big problem in Connecticut is that they weaponized attorneys who are commissioners of the court to be confidential informants approving crime. So there's a case in Norwalk. Let me describe. I've lost 2 houses due to check fraud. I took the cashed stolen mortgage checks to the Norwalk Police Department. What happened? Well, Matera, who runs the detective division, covered it up. So now we've lost 2 houses. So if they cashed 28 mortgage checks, okay, what the mortgage companies were doing was cashing checks paid to them, not giving the mortgage holder credit, then selling the mortgage to another firm. Therefore, the mortgage history did not transfer. Though they cashed the checks and never credited them as They put the check in a holding bank account, sell the loan, keep the money, sell it again. However, they're selling it to their own subsidiary. So if you look at Wells Fargo, they own BSI Financial, okay? They own the next company. And by the time the legitimate mortgage firm gets it, which is Rushmore Loan Management, Rushmore Loan Management has no history of the payments. So when you borrow $384,000 and you make every mortgage payment in a row, you send them the check. They cash it. After a while, they stop cashing it because they want to foreclose. After the amount due is over 30 grand, they'll hit you with the penalties, interest, and taxes on the 30 grand that the prior mortgage company took without crediting. And they are guaranteed by the Norwalk Police Department not to look at the problem. In other words, the mayor of Norwalk says to the detective bureau, oh, don't investigate financial crimes, especially Mr. Flynn. Make him stand in the long line of financial crime victims that will never be investigated. So guess what? I've been going to the FBI. There's a lot of stuff going on that you're not aware of. I'm probably a little bit more aware of, but this is the problem. The City of Norwalk told the FBI and the state's attorney and the state police that I threatened to blow up Bank America after cashing my Bank America checks. So what happens then? So the FBI comes to your house, they start surveilling you, they start listening on your phone conversations while you're listening on them, listening to you, and ultimately they start following your page and they start showing up in your life, folks. It's all good if you're an honest guy, because then you have nothing to hide. But to tell the FBI, when you're a Norwalk police detective, that someone is threatening to blow up a bank while the detective himself is empowering the attorneys of Kelly Dry Warren. Let me explain what that is. Kelly Dry Warren is Bank America's attorney. Bank America's own attorneys are cashing stolen checks of their own customers in Connecticut. Yes, they are. How many checks? Quite a few. How many thousands? I can't even tell you. I don't know. But I know there's 10 attorneys billing Kelly Dry Warren for the theft of their own clients. Now, they're commissioners of the court. So what happens? You file a subpoena with the judge. Judge Adams is a partner at Kelly Dry Warren. So the people that are claiming to be your attorney work for the judge who's a partner at the law firm that's billing you while they're stealing your money from your own bank accounts. So when you ask Matera time and time again, what's the status of this criminal investigation into this check fraud? He says, we need more time. Oh, we need more time. Well, 20 years is enough time. And it's not like the Grisanti murder, 35 years of lying to her about her sister's murder. Gina's sister was kidnapped in broad daylight in front of witnesses. They went after him for kidnapping, and the bodies never showed up. No one's ever seen her again. They didn't go after her for the murder. They didn't go after Purple. His name is Purple. For the murder of Gina Grisanti's sister. Oh, no. You don't... This is what when she walks into meetings, I have tapes about it. When she walks into the meetings, oh, you don't know what we've been doing. We've been working diligently. Really? Where's the evidence? Oh, we can't release the evidence during an ongoing investigation. Okay, so continuing to cash stolen checks during an ongoing investigation. Now they're stealing my father's checks, too. He has the same name. They think they're stealing his money. Or they think they're stealing my money when they're stealing his money. We have a lot of problems. They sent an informant to kick my ass, and they went and kicked my son's ass. Why? Because they said, are you John Flynn? Yeah. On him. They said, I should kill you now. He's fine. He's living in Michigan. He's fine. He's tough as hell. He can bench 315. I can't bench 315 anymore. But when you confront the police during an ongoing investigation, giving them more and more cash stolen checks. You got to wonder. Now, play this FBI tape, because there's some startling realities coming up. I'm saying that in Connecticut, the cabal are attorneys working for judges cashing stolen checks. And then, when they have a hearing, they say, oh no, I can't reveal what Mr. Flynn's talking about. He's my client. I'm not their client. They cashed my stolen checks. And they're claiming Kelly Dry, Adams, Mark Gregory, James Moriarty, Delphine Knight Brown, Kelly Hodges. Kelly Hodges is a winner, okay? She falsified an audit on a brokerage firm claiming to be their attorney. She's not my attorney. She's not even an auditor. She's not even an accountant, okay? So how can you falsify banking records, and the bank is creating falsified bank statements on brokerage accounts? How many? Hundreds. Hundreds. What happened to every buyer of Select Therapeutics private placement? Well, I have a private placement to talk about. Wait. NASDAQ went public. I was a member. The SEC didn't recognize us as a member because of Jim Himes. But we invested in both private placements of NASDAQ that came public at $13. Well, it's up to $2.30. I'd like my shares. How many do I have? I don't know. I wrote checks. I know that. I don't know how many shares we have, because the certificates we have are not actual certificates. We have warrant positions, about, I guess, 3,600 warrants, struck at 13, 14, 15, and 16. We gave them the money to exercise the warrants. So the shares are clearly mine. But how does Jim Himes explain that he asked NASDAQ to look the other way when Bernie Madoff was chairman of NASDAQ? I am telling you, Bernie Madoff and the crimes, financial crimes of Norwalk, Connecticut are connected. Now, Bernie Madoff went to jail and died in jail. But none of the cases we filed went to trial because of Judge Provader, Judge Heller, Jacobs. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's play the tape. I apologize for taking so long, but if I don't give you the background, you clearly won't understand.
For a minute or two and try to describe.
Can you hear that?
Describe the whole problem. That's just part of the problem, and then you can send me where you want. Is that cool?
Okay, this is a 33-minute tape.
The machines were stolen in 2000.
NASDAQ workstations were stolen in 2000,
I
6
called
of
the
them.
police thousands of times.
Hundreds of thousands of trades have been
And
executed.
the police told me they were investigating.
Norwalk was investigating, when in fact they stood between
couple
a
hundred thousand felonies.
NASDAQ
More.
licensed securities trader
Unfortunately,
and
I
took
have
control of a
65
broker-dealer.
recordings
You understand?
Of my conversation with local police.
They
In
said,
turn, okay,
if you go to the bank, you'll be arrested. Okay, that was 20 years ago.
to threaten me. So I've gotten at least 4 people after me.
So
which
this is
I'm
the
not
thing.
really particularly afraid of them. But how many times do I have to alert the federal government of the largest securities problem in Connecticut state history?
This is the largest securities fraud in Connecticut history by far. But this is the deal.
They don't have to look into it. when in
Norwalk
fact,
police gave me
now
a
I'm at the
threat,
point where
ultimatum, and a deadline.
I sued
Threat, ultimatum,
5 police
and a deadline,
departments
which means it's extortion.
for falsifying a 17-year investigation.
Now, that was at
They
17
had
years, the
claimed to
investigation.
have
Now
no
we're at
recollection of
21 years.
anything and no evidence. And the
Unfortunately,
problem is that
We own a $250,000 Paladin
you
lamps.
can't
We bought it at
send an informant
75 cents.
to commit a violent
That was
crime.
bought out
It's
at
a violation
150.
of my civil
That's
rights.
37 million right there.
The
You understand?
problem,
Let me
and
repeat
now
that.
I've reported this
We
problem
bought a
multiple times.
$250,000 Paladin
It's the
Labs
FBI, no big deal.
at 75 cents.
But the problem now I'm
It was
facing
taken
is
over
that 3 judges that have heard the cases
at
were all
150.
appointed
That's 37 million
By the mayor
right
of
there,
Stamford.
one position. We have hundreds of positions.
Is friends
Sheffield,
with Brett Larrabee,
Alterex,
who worked together
Virex.
for 10 years with him.
We have millions of
And a
shares of
gentleman
Select
named
Therapeutics,
Provider,
the
who
largest
is a
medical complex
judge
in North
now.
America.
And a judge named Heller and a judge named Jacobs, who have denied me discovery about 200 times. Denied us all interrogatories, all requests for production, subpoenas.
Let's intervene for 1 second. Judge Heller's special master is John Carberry, Bernie Madoff's attorney. Do you understand what I'm saying? Robbing a NASDAQ member, I'm not the only one. There's 253 that I found, okay? You haven't heard about it in the news, but it's real. Those firms went out of business, folks. So did mine. So when I say that the special master of Judge Heller, who is screwing up the Doulos case, Heller is the Doulos case judge. You understand? High protective order. Father murdered the mother. Kids without a family. Father commits suicide. How convenient. Just like all the suicides that Hillary created. All the people she disappeared. I am telling you, there's a real risk here of blowing the whistle on a Stamford Superior Court judge tied to the cabal. Okay? I'm taking a risk here. Tied to the cabal. Look at Jacobs. I sued Malloy. Jacobs was appointed by Malloy. Malloy committed 300,000 felonies. We were not allowed to play the 911 tapes at a trial. The murderer, the attempted murderer, is a confidential informant empowered by Larrabee, Chief of Police of East Haven, who was Chief of Police in Stamford when Greenwich Global on Summer Street in Stamford got robbed way back 20 years ago. So not only are the police using informants that are lawyers to rob you, they're using convicted felons that they spring out of jail to commit hits. Now, let's explain. Google State versus Riddle. You will see a guy named Richard Filippelli was hired by a bad cop to kill a good cop named Dealey. You will see the same murderer in State versus Riddle testified that he gets paid to hurt people by the police. Testified, ready? That he was hired by a second bad cop to kill a cop named Lamb, who was a good cop. Now, Dealey was an inspector, a high-ranking inspector, and Lamb was also. What I'm saying is, bad cops are hiring informants to kill good cops, and they frame people through the evidence. Look at Brian McCann in the City of Norwalk. Destroyed 500 exhibits, at least. Maybe 700, I'm not sure. I have the exhibits in another place, in a box. But I'm saying that when Detective Maloney created a story that John Flynn, okay, which never happened, threatened to blow up Bank America, guess what? He falsified evidence, lied to a judge. The judge is in on it, and the judge is a partner, earning the fees, part of the fees of the attorneys, charging the time at $600 an hour. John Carberry is $600 an hour, Bernie Madoff's attorney, okay? He's charging while he's representing, falsely representing. In other words, multiple conflicts of interest. He has two masters, okay? Judge Heller's master has more than one master. So when you look at, look at Star Wars. The Sith Lord has a master. Look at the conversion of Darth Vader, okay, to the dark side of the Force. What's happening is they're using their influence, and the fact that they took bribes early on in their career makes them captive for taking bribes in the future. So, why is Judge Provader keep intervening in my life and denying us fee waivers, of which we've been denied multiple fee waivers this quarter by Judge Provader, when in fact he worked for Malloy for 10 years. For 20 years he was counsel to the city of Stamford. He worked directly for Malloy when Malloy was mayor of Stamford, okay? And Malloy made him a judge. Then he steers the cases to himself. Then he denies the subpoenas to John Flynn. And any subpoena that was approved that went out to Larrabee, they're friends for 10 years, they work for each other. Larrabee refused the subpoenas. Larrabee hired the hitman. Larrabee was chief of police of East Haven. My brokerage firm in East Haven, I got a call on a Friday afternoon, come tomorrow at 10 a.m. I went. The informant was in the basement. He had an axe. I fought him for 2.5 hours. I'm lucky to be alive. Luckily, I had my hammer on my belt. I was doing the roof at our brokerage firm at 50 Co Avenue in East Haven, which was taken by squatters that are informants of the East Haven Police Department. I tried to evict them 9 times. They were John Does, which can't be evicted. The police refused to tell us their identities. The police placed informants as squatters in a brokerage firm's office in East Haven. Then they got indicted. Carey, Zulo, Spaulding, and who's the fourth guy? Carey, Zulo, Spaulding, Miller. Miller's the enforcer. He's the one you can't mess with, folks. There are enforcers here in Norwalk, which I won't mess with either, but each one plays a different role. One was police union president. That's a problem. Since I sued the police union and it's never gone to trial, that's like 10 years old, that case. Why? We're receiving phone calls from the police union secretary. Anonymous phone calls. I gave that information to the FBI. What happened? Nothing happened. I know who the guy is. He's the secretary of the police union in Stamford. And I have the ability to find out who you are, folks. So what you think can't happen can. We have ways of listening. I'm not stupid, okay? But I am trusting, which is a fault. But I'm telling you now, if you play this 33-minute tape, let's get back to it. I want to keep this short.
I've had 4 or 5 trials already, denied me the jury. They're ruling on making decisions themselves, and they all have a conflict of interest being appointed by the person who was mayor of the city of Stamford, who is now governor of Connecticut. So I don't have a problem with them, really. But the fact is, I'm in court all the time trying to get people's money back. And the fact that I've initiated multiple cases for police misconduct
keep in mind, this is a phone call to the FBI.
Making me a target. And I receive a lot of phone calls, and my phone needs to be tapped, period.
Okay, so here we go. I've been asking the FBI to tap my phone.
Already placed on me. So the fact is,
then I was told it was tapped.
My son was threatened. Hey, fine.
So if they've been listening in on my conversations,
to tell you the truth, are you still there? I don't mean to ramble on, but it's a very complicated money laundering problem. I can give you a list of the crimes being committed: wire fraud, check fraud, embezzlement, murder for hire.
murder for hire.
I've had have 10 attorneys claim to be my attorney that I don't know.
10 attorneys, weaponized.
I mean, they're commissioners of the court. So here we are. I'm in the court all the time, and the judges won't give me any evidence because it's such a bad situation that they don't want it to be a black eye on the state of Connecticut. Well,
Black eye.
show me 10 attorneys. You know, what would happen if you, for example, I don't know your name, I don't need to know your name, if you had 10 attorneys claiming to be your attorney and they were laundering your client's money, it would be a bad deal. It would be bad.
They are laundering my client's money.
Judges have
That's
given
exactly what they're doing.
about 15 people immunity. You know, like they gave immunity to the state's attorney.
Right.
to
They gave
the
immunity
statewide
to
grievance
Colangelo
council.
6 times. They
You
gave
know,
him
everyone,
immunity
you know,
for paying a
police
bribe
chiefs,
on the
everyone in
Stephen
the case
Barrier
is involved.
murder.
You know, they have
An executive
discretionary
order
authority. They
of
can do what they
Lamont
want.
through Tong.
You know what? They sent a guy after me who had 55 arrests.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, 22 current arrests that I know of.
The informant that they sent to kill me, this guy never wears a shirt in January and February. He's a kickboxer, extreme fighter, okay, total Neanderthal. And they were springing him from jail to commit more crimes. They're his guy. He's their guy, okay? So when I'm saying they're weaponizing violent felons, it violates the Janet Reno FBI guidelines. You can't approve a violent crime. It's the law. It's a federal law. But in a sanctuary state, they don't follow federal law. So they are weaponizing attorneys, which are commissioners of the court. I'm saying right now, the Connecticut Cabal is weaponizing commissioners of the court to rob Connecticut citizens protected by the judges. I'll explain. Say you had a mortgage problem in Bridgeport, and I know someone who has one. His mom died, she left him the house. There's no mortgage, yet he's been in foreclosure a couple of times. Why? Water bills, tax liens. The house hasn't shifted from probate from his mother to himself. I interviewed this guy. He's saying that Judge Spader is the lobbyist for the mortgage industry. He's the judge in Bridgeport for mortgages, and he's affiliated with the drive-by companies that pay a fee for assessing the value of your home, affiliated with 2 law firms who are sending him their foreclosure cases where he's a partner. So what's he doing? Sitting back, running up the fees. This guy I interviewed, he's a story. I posted it. I forget what number it is. It's around 300. But Tor has been foreclosed on, is currently in foreclosure, and the last time he paid the fees, it was like $9,000 in penalties, interest, and taxes on a mortgage he doesn't even have, okay? There's no mortgage on the house. The problem is, in Bridgeport and in Connecticut, if there's a $75 tax lien, they can foreclose, force you to pay what's owed, penalties, interest, and taxes. It could be 30 hours at $600 an hour. It could be interest on the $9,000 for 3 months at 8% or more. And what they're doing is stealing your house. I've had 2 houses stolen from me. If they're taking Tor's house that his mother fully paid for without transferring it to his name, then putting a lien, extorting a payment out of him to get his house back, and it keeps happening time and time again. They're trying to take his house, sell it on the market, keep all the money, and give him nothing of the value. Now that's a house that's been in the family for years and years. Why is Connecticut allowing foreclosure on houses with no mortgages so that the attorney can take the entire equity in the house and keep it without paying TOR, who doesn't even own the house yet? It's stuck in probate. The house is still in his mother's name. They're going to steal a house from an African-American woman who died years ago and not let it transfer to the son. This is what Judge Slater is all about. Stealing properties. It's part of the cabal of Connecticut. I can explain other parts which are worse, and I will in the future. There are DCF cases, part of the cabal. Oh yes. How can a 14-year-old girl who was taken by DCF at age 11 be taken from a Catholic family, Christian, to do gay guys who've convinced the 11-year-old girl to become a man while the state intervened? The father hasn't seen the daughter since she was 11. And I say to you, this is evil, folks. This is the cabal. This is Connecticut. In Connecticut, a woman driving through the state, I think she's from Kentucky, felt sick. She was pregnant. They stopped at Milford Hospital. They sedated her. They took the baby. Who got the baby? The court clerk. Come on. It took a year for the grandmother in New Jersey to get the baby back. How can a woman driving through the state of Connecticut have a baby taken from her, be sedated, and the court look at the documents and say, oh wow, this is a predictable bad mother? Okay, I think I've said enough. I'm describing the cabal in Connecticut. Okay? The FBI is fully aware of it because I've sent them many letters. I've recorded many conversations. This one's 33 minutes. Right now we're at, only 7 minutes and 52 seconds.
The guy's a kickboxer. They allowed him to live in my office of my brokerage firm.
Like I said, they're putting informants in people's
They said
apartments.
He was my tenant. Excuse me?
They don't tell them their name. They're violent
I didn't know
felons.
the guy's name. I had to
They get into confrontations like I
which
did.
is practically impossible to do in Connecticut.
That's my
You don't
property,
evict
folks.
anyone
They
who's a
took
John Doe
our
because
property. They took 2 houses.
you need the specific
Matera's
name of the
involved
person.
up to here.
If you
So
look on the
is
FBI,
Hume, Internal
cases.
Affairs of Norwalk. So
the
is
case in East Haven where my office is.
the other Internal
East
Affairs
Haven
guy
is a
who doesn't take my call.
swarm, a bee's nest. Carrie, Zulo.
These are the East Haven people I was talking about. I may jump to other parts of the same video, audio in other posts, but we're at 33 minutes and no one's going to listen to this. But
The one you
if
need to
you
go after
do,
is Scout Ramello.
you need to make a $10 contribution to my campaign
For me.
so we can
I got out of my
initiate
car.
the next
She pulled her
lawsuit,
gun
which is
on
even
me.
bigger than
She was
this.
off duty.
It's
She threatened to shoot
gigantic.
me in the head.
Okay? And when I'm saying gigantic, it's one of the biggest of all time. The next lawsuit we file will be one of the biggest of all time, no doubt. And we won't get a fair judge. We won't get any exhibits. We won't get any depositions taken. We won't get any interrogatories. We'll get a special master who has a conflict of interest, and we'll get a judge appointed by Lamont who's in charge of the disaster I'm about to sue them for.
Do I need to
So
say
hold on
anymore?
a second.
I mean,
Thank you,
I
Connecticut.
have
Appreciate your time and effort. I know it's difficult.
911 calls now.
It's not a pleasure
Way
walk,
after the trial,
but,
I was able to get
Flynn
those
2022
FOIA.
is going to be interesting.
Couldn't get
Wait
those
till you see the
subpoena.
last bumper sticker.
You should hear those
It'll
tapes.
set you back quite a bit. And I appreciate your time and effort. Thank you very much. And thank Rick Reardon.
Because the FBI already